First of all, I wanted to say that I don't have my microphone currently that I would be recording this on because I lost the cord. And now I'm recording this under a blanket, so please be nice to me. This is also my first commentary video and my first scripted video ever. Godmother's Halloween Spooktacular is a children's comic book series / regular book series, including a movie with a sequel. But it's created by Jill Thompson. Her art in the comics is just absolutely incredible, and I'm not surprised because when I was doing research for this video, I saw that she did work for Hellboy, and a lot of my favorite artists ended up doing work for Hellboy. The Godmother's Halloween Spooktacular is ultimately a movie about not judging a book by its cover, with our main character, Hannah Marie, learning not to judge the monsters in her closet. This movie starts off with a title card and some really terrible walk cycles. We meet Daryl, who is a piece of candy, and he's running to meet his friends Katie and Bert, who are respectively dressed as a black cat and a baseball player in his SUV. Laser cannon included. I do like that they give the character models a slightly different texture depending on their costume. Like, you can see that Katie has like a leotard under her suit, and Daryl's candy wrapper is all shiny, and Bert's SUV cardboard, you know. I just think it's really nice that they're not like just painted straight onto the character models itself. A group of friends stand around and complain that Jimmy hasn't showed up yet. But speak of the devil, he appears, and he grows a giant head and yells at his cousin Hannah. I actually really hate when they do that in the animation. That's one thing that I don't like about this movie, is the outrageous, squash and stretch that they let the characters do, especially, when they're yelling. It's just a little scary. Jimmy's a total jerk to Hannah and his friends throughout the entire movie, and nobody says anything to him. I don't know why, and it bothers me, because his friends are really nice in the beginning until Jimmy starts to influence them, and they become mean to Hannah in return. Anyways, Hannah's dressed up as a fairy princess, and she brings Jimmy and all his friends full-size candy bars, which is super awesome, but Jimmy, being an asshole, does not take his full-size candy bar. Jimmy actually tells Hannah to go into the nearby graveyard to scare off monsters, while he goes and tells his friends that he wants to ditch her to go get twice as much candy because he thinks she's lame. Jimmy and his friends eventually call Hannah over and tell her a very... what's the word? They tell her a very embellished story about the spook house. How every new kid has to go into the abandoned spook house and throw some candy into the basement as an offering. Hannah Marie is a massive scaredy cat throughout the entire movie, but I know I shouldn't be too hard on her because she's basically just me. Jimmy and his friends basically push Hannah into the spook house and then start making some frankly impossible shadow puppetry with the help of some very spooky voice acting by his friends. Once Jimmy successfully scares the shit out of Hannah, he holds the spook house door shut, which is just so incredibly fucked up. And Hannah breaks down crying in the spook house floor. But here's where we meet the titular bitchular and Hannah Marie's very own scary godmother. I'm not quite sure how she was exactly summoned to Hannah Marie either, if the spook house is supposed to be the equivalent of her house in the Fright Side, or does she get summoned to every scared little kid on Halloween? I'm not sure. I didn't read the comics, so I don't know if they elaborate on that any further. Maybe tell me in the comments if you know. Again, while doing research for this video, I didn't even know there was a book series or a comic series or fucking Bugaboo backpack. Godmother scoops Hannah up on her broom and they both fly into the sky. Why did I write that? To a super killer fucking soundtrack. The music in this movie is outrageous. We end up in the Fright Side where Scary Godmother is looking for her roommate, Mr. Scully Pettibone, who is the best character in any sort of media, anytime, ever, yes. Found in the closet, Mr. Pettibone makes his iconic appearance, complete with a flamboyant voice and the snazziest of outfits. And right off the bat, we know what he is, and we know what the creator was doing. Many of the kids that did grow up with this movie are now, gay, and Definitely, I'm not gonna say that this movie had anything to do with it, but it's basically just hanging out with a queer friend group. We have Broadway twink, lesbian art teacher, Shakespeare bear, bisexual parents, Bugaboo. Hannah Marie is still really nice to all the monsters that she meets, even if she is very scared of them. I mean, Scully basically kills Hannah. Joking, but Scary Godmother yells at him anyway, and she even mimics Hannah's little head shake, which I thought was really cute. Scary Godmother uses her non-specific magic to decorate the house. I think her magic is super cool. I like that it changes colors so often, and that it seems to have so many different properties. While Scully and Scary Godmother are finishing up the rest of the snacks, Harry arrives at the door. Is that just his name? It's just Harry? Does he have a last name? Okay, yeah, his last name is the werewolf. As soon as they let Harry into the party, he just straight up beelines to the snack tray and eats everything that Scully and Godmother had just made, and he just continues to be so greedy throughout the entire movie. He gets on my nerves. He's definitely, I think, my least favorite character in the entire movie. He's worse than Jimmy, actually. I'm gonna say it. Two truths. Harry is worse than Jimmy. Scully and Harry are bitter exes. Look at them fight. Scary Godmother introduces Harry to Hannah, and he mistakes her for his favorite comic actress. Scary Godmother jump scares us and tells us how to make a recipe for a werewolf. I do love seeing the comic art style appear in this movie, though. The way Jill colors is really nice. You can also see her colors and her style in the flat, almost Mario-esque backgrounds. I also love how Scary Godmother pushes Scully and Harry out of the way to go answer the door. She does not give a fuck. Waiting at the door is Count Max and his bride Ruby and their child Orson. The whole time Harry's trying to get the peanut butter off his roof of his mouth, it reminds me so much of that scene in Sam and Max where Sam eats that peanut butter ball. Well, Sam is so much cuter than Harry. Harry's kind of scary. Hannah screams at the vampires, and Scary Godmother tells her that they are royalty, to which she quickly calms down. You'll hear that scream, by the way, a lot in the movie. They reuse it, and another scream, a lot. Look at the way that Hannah's bowing in this scene, too. Why does she do that? I love how the vampire family is more designed on Nosferatu than, like, Dracula. I like that they look like monsters. Also, the friendship that happens between Hannah and Orson is really sweet. I think it's one of the cutest things ever. I like the spinning shot that they do, too, when Orson and Hannah are questioning each other. It might be one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. After a round of bowling and Harry drinking a mysterious liquid off of Scary Godmother's counter, the party has just begun and everyone has started to talk amongst themselves. Harry introduces himself and kisses Ruby's arm for way too long, causing Count Max to use his vampire eyes on him. I haven't seen this movie in a couple of years, so I thought that it was going to be like a trope of Harry being too stupid for Max's vampire magic to work on him, but no, it works a little too well on him. Soon after, we're introduced to Bugaboo, Scary Godmother and Scully Pettibone's roommate, and technically owner of the house.
Who are you?
I'm Pam. Who are you?
I'm the owner of this house.
Hannah and Bugaboo scream at each other, and scream at each other again. And to be honest, I would scream too if I saw Bugaboo in real life. He's so scary in 3D. To be fair, he is really, really adorable in the comic art style and, of course, in plushie form. I like how much Bugaboo talks about his work and his job as well. I think it's really funny. Hannah runs away from Bugaboo, which causes him to chase after her. For some reason, I don't know why he's doing that. But then that causes everybody else in the house to chase after both of them. And, I mean, I don't know why, but I do love this scene. It is really funny. The animation goes fucking crazy. Bugaboo should not be able to run that fast. He is terrifying. Hannah eventually finds her flashlight and remembers that Jimmy told her that the flashlight scares monsters. as well as her dad. I forgot about that. Yeah, earlier in the movie, there's a whole flashback that the kids do with Katie and Daryl acting as Hannah's mother in a flashback. I don't know why they just didn't make parent character models. But yeah, in the flashback, Daryl says to Hannah that the flashlight should work on monsters. Hannah shines her flashlight at Bugaboo, and he asks her if she's
A coal miner?
Hannah gets confused, and Scary Godmother tells her that the flashlight only works on monsters in the closet and not monsters under the bed. Bugaboo, feeling sad and rejected, almost leaves the entire party until Hannah herself gets over her fear and asks him to stay. Here we have an obligatory 2000s dance number. Scully's hat in this scene turns white. Scully's entire outfit in this dancing scene turns white for some reason. I don't know why. When I first watched this movie as a child, I thought that Bugaboo was pretending to be upset that Hannah didn't like him, but in the dance scene, she screams at him because, well, they bump into each other, and he gets, like, so sad about it. I'm actually kind of a fan of it because I think it's sweet that he does want Hannah to like him despite his job of scaring children. Cut to...
Door is ajar. Door is ajar. Door is ajar. Will you stop that?
Jimmy and the kids think that they left Hannah in the spook house basically the entire night. They didn't even go trick-or-treating without her. I don't know why or what the fuck is wrong with these kids, but they definitely should have checked in on her by now. The kids vote and play rock, paper, scissors for an eternity. Orson tries to make a snack out of Hannah to no avail. They talk about what they want to be when they grow up, and I think it's really cute. I like that Orson doesn't make fun of Hannah either. Meanwhile, Max has an alpha male meltdown from his wife's exposed ankles, snapping his fingers in agreement to Scully's comments about platforms and miniskirts. Harry wakes up and eats all of the food again. Ruby gives a clearly insecure Count Max some advice about joking with his friend. Even though when he was first introduced he made a joke that was personally funnier than all of the jokes he says after his wife's advice.
So other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you enjoy the show?
Except for that one. Look at how Scully slides into frame to yell at Harry. Now we have to order pizza.
Pizza! 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 Pizza!
While everyone argues about what pizza topping they want, Hannah and Bugaboo bond over their favorite pizza toppings. Hannah tells Bugaboo that her cousin Jimmy said that monsters eat little girls. Bugaboo pulls out a pair of tiny glasses and reads his to scare list. He tells Hannah that he scares Jimmy every other Thursday. We're back with Jimmy and his friends, and they're about to enter the spook house.
Can't believe you left Hannah in the spook house.
After a dose of mass hysteria, Jimmy scolds his friends before getting scared by the thunder transition again. It's pizza time in the Fright Side, and Harry ordered 12 pizzas. Neither Scary Godmother, Harry, or Scully having any money to pay for the pizzas, she searches Bugaboo for money in a very strange scene that also reminds me of Mario. After paying for the pizzas and slamming the door, Scary Godmother throws an epic monologue at Harry.
You have left these people, insulted my roommate, made a mess of my house, and stuck me with phone. Harry, sometimes you are insensitive boorish, and you just have plain lousy table manners.
Using her magic as bone chains as everyone grabbed their personal pizzas, leaving Harry with nothing. Enjoy your pizza! I forgot to mention, I thought that the pizza skeleton was a reused model of Scully, but he's actually missing a tooth. Hannah puts her slice of pizza in her trick-or-treat pail and gives Bugaboo the candy that Jimmy refused, almost in a way fulfilling the prophecy that Jimmy made up. Hannah tells everyone that Jimmy left her in the spook house, and Scary Godmother comes up with a plan to get revenge on them. Back in the normal world, the kids finally enter the spook house and are greeted by Orson, who Jimmy thinks is another nerdy weird kid that somebody dared to go into the spook house. By the way, take a shot or something every time I say spook house. Actually, don't do that. Bert defends Orson because Orson knew what his costume was, and Jimmy insults him further. Orson calls his parents, which scare the kids into bumping straight into Scully, who's disguised as a lamppost.
You'll be thrilled, you'll be ace, gonna serve you more kids on a plate!
After his little song and dance, the kids run right into Harry, and he tries to eat Daryl. Scary Godmother and the rest of her monster friends lead the kids to the basement where Bugaboo and Hannah act out the final scene of their plan, ending with Hannah saving Jimmy and his friends from the monsters. Hannah doesn't really want to leave, but Scary Godmother gives her a special skeleton key which she can use to visit her anytime, which is something I also really wanted as a kid. You can tell how much I hyperfixated on this movie as a child. Jimmy and Hannah leave the spook house hand in hand, which I think is kinda cute, and the Fright Side gang rave about how well their plan worked out. Harry, being himself, asks for more pizza, and they all beat him up. Yes, that's how it actually ends. They beat the shit out of Harry. And that's the end of Scary Godmother's Halloween Spooktacular. I still have a little bit more to say. Yeah, you can click off. But I still love this movie, and I still think it holds up very well to this day in terms of writing, characters, and music, and yeah, sometimes in the animation. There are parts of this movie where I think the animation really excels, specifically in the facial animation, mostly on Hannah and Scary Godmother. I like that the character models are pretty on base as well. The style of Scary Godmother is just something that you don't really find anymore in kids media. I would say this movie definitely had an effect on me and many other kids that watched it at the time, and even if it is a product of the 2000s, I still think that this movie is a Halloween classic, and I can't wait to consume all the other Scary Godmother media that can be found. Maybe next Halloween, if enough people see this, or if my hyperfixation lasts that long, I'll make a video about the sequel, Scary Godmother, Jimmy's Revenge. Thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video. Please tell me what you think of Scary Godmother's Halloween Spooktacular, and about my tribute art. What you liked, what you didn't like, what your favorite Halloween candy is. I don't care. What matters is you made it. So good night to you, and viewers like you. Thank you.